Okay, Pascal, the question for today is SharePoint versus Involv Intranet. Well, it's the question we get from a lot of potential customers, at least. Um, for us, we love SharePoint. It's an amazing platform with a lot of great features. So for us, the question isn't maybe really versus Involv Intranet, but what's the additional value of Involv
Yeah.
Intranet on top of that basic feature set that SharePoint offers, which is already amazing. So what's your take on that?
First, I would like to stress that Involv is not just an intranet solution. It's actually also a way of working. Like you mentioned, Tom, SharePoint has a lot of strong features. But to build an intranet based on those features, you actually need a lot of expertise. And that kind of expertise isn't always present in an IT department. And when it is, the question remains if the IT department in question has enough time to build an intranet.
Yeah, of course.
And the answer, most of the time, is actually no, they don't. So then you could ask yourself, maybe we can hire an external consultant. And Tom, you were an external consultant.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it's definitely possible. There's a lot of great consultants out there, but it has some downsides as well. I've been in that position, and you get hired for a specific period. Typically, that period's already fixed in advance, so you deadline-wise, you're already quite set in your planning. But not just that, of course. Once your intranet goes live and it's finished, that consultant moves on to the next project, of course. Meaning if you have any questions or you want to update your intranet half a year later, you have to be quite lucky to be able to hire the same consultant or to ask questions or find a replacement consultant. That doesn't, of course, have that entire history of the project, doesn't have the same knowledge. If you're already finding one willing to work on that.
And on top of that, hiring an external consultant, it's expensive.
It is expensive, of course, mostly because, yeah, you typically hire them for a fixed period of time. It's not like you can say, look, come 2 hours on that day and 3 hours on another day when I'm available for a meeting. Typically, it's not the case. So, yeah, it does become quite expensive. Okay, Pascal, so you can hire a consultant or do things internally, but you don't just need the technical SharePoint knowledge to build an intranet project, do you?
Correct, actually. No, you don't. I like to compare it actually with building a house. You need a lot of different experts to build a house. You need a plumber, you need an architect, you need an electrician, different specialists. Building an intranet is just the same thing, actually. You need an information architect, you need a communication specialist, you need a graphical designer, you need a SharePoint expert, in our case. So that's where the Involv way of working comes up.
Yeah. Indeed, we don't have profiles that do everything, of course. Nobody does. You do have people who can try that, but you can be an expert in every field, of course. So the Involv way of working is basically you do have a single point of contact, your key success manager, but we do have all those expertises in our Involv team. That doesn't mean every project would need every expertise on the same level, of course. You have very design-oriented intranets. You have intranets with a lot of information architecture, a very complex structure. But we have those members available in our team. And of course, at the start of a project, your single point of contact, your success manager, will look together with the team where they're needed to organize and sit in on specific workshops or do some designs, actually.
Correct. So Tom, earlier we mentioned hypercare, that an external consultant isn't always available after you've launched your intranet. What about the Involv way of working? How do we cover that aspect of an intranet product?
So we have something called hypercare, indeed. For us, that's the period after the day when you launch your intranet, up until maybe a few weeks or months after, depending on the project. And during that time frame, your success manager, your single point of contact, will remain available to you, meaning you have the same direct communication with that person, because typically you will have a lot of questions the weeks after a launch of a new intranet. So we do, of course, also have a support help desk, which you can always contact, but especially during that hypercare period, we don't want to add extra complexity, another layer between those, so you just have direct communication with your success manager. And that's key to a successful intranet launch, we think, because the first weeks are when you get the feedback, of course, from your first
Yeah, that's
users.
correct. I think we want to unburden our clients before, during, and after an intranet development phase.
Exactly, and that's what the Involv way of working is basically to make sure that something you can do yourself, yeah, we do it faster and easier with a lot less problems during the project. That's what we're aiming for, to yeah, de-stress your internal
Yeah.
resources, which are limited already in time and typically, yeah.
So like you mentioned, a lot of different skill sets and profiles, but something that's really important to stress is also, yeah, we have a lot of experience in building intranets.
Yeah,
That's what we do every day.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Together, I think we have built over 200 intranets.
Yeah, indeed.
So every time we start a new project, we take that expertise with us and the best practices of all the projects we have done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are also looking for inspiration and how do other companies do it? Because a lot of intranets are quite similar, right? It's not 100% the same, but at least we have customers in the same industry or the same branch. And then, of course, you can look at information architecture, for example. It's something very complex, but it doesn't have to be. If you can get some inspiration from other projects, that's very useful for our customers as well. And like I said, yeah, I've been in the consultant myself. It's not like you're building an intranet daily. SharePoint is a Swiss Army knife tool. It does a lot of things. So yeah, those consultants might be building a quality system one day and an intranet the next, but definitely not as many intranets as we are on a daily basis. Yeah.